A los hijos del metal, bienvenidos. Esto es
Metal
Horn.
Pues en el vídeo de hoy vamos a hablaros de Moonshade,
banda que yo descubrí por la radio.
son un grupo portugués de death melodic metal. Se formaron en el año 2010.
En un primer EP de 2010 llamado The Path of Redemption. Otro EP de 2014 llamado Dream Eye Oblivion. Su primer larga duración llamado
Dethroned.
¿Y qué os vamos a decir nosotros que no podéis leer aquí abajo?
Y aquí os dejamos con Moonshade hablando un poco sobre ellos a modo de entrevista, que es muy interesante.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel, the lead guitarist for Moonshade.
Hey, I'm Ricardo, I'm the vocalist.
And we're here to answer some of your questions.
So, our influences. In terms of the whole band, I would say we're very influenced by the Gothenburg style of, I guess what you would say melodic death metal, bands like In Flames, Bellacore, Amon Amarth. And we stretch out a bit. Not everybody in the band listens to a lot of that particular sound, which is what gives us our basic sonic landscape, I guess. Our different influences, like for example our drummer loves Megadeth, Iron Maiden is a big thing inside the band, and even other things outside of metal. Personally, I'm very influenced in terms of vocal technique by Michael Eichertfeld from Opeth. I would say the bands that I mentioned earlier also are very important. Lyrically, I'm more inclined towards more classical lyricists, classically influenced lyricists, like for example Danny Filth from Cradle of Filth, and that's basically it.
Yeah. I would say maybe, as you were alluding to earlier, the difference, all that array of genres that people in the band listen to. Me as a composer, I always felt that while I am influenced by a lot of metal, melodic death metal like Dark Tranquillity, for example, or At the Gates, but also Nevermore, also Black Sabbath, Metallica, Rotting Christ are one of my main influences, but also things that are outside of the metal spectrum, like Dead Can Dance, like Sobre, that dark wave stuff, Sisters of Mercy, all that stuff. A lot of different things, which, as Ricardo said, a lot of what we listen to that is outside of what you would expect from this spectrum is what gives us our identity and our little nuances of things that are maybe outside of the norm, which you would expect. So we have a new album coming out, or actually it's out worldwide via Gates Records. It's called Dethroned, and and it's our debut full-length album. It is an album that we are very proud of, to start what I'm gonna say, because we managed to pour a bit of our essence and a bit of our what we believe is our growing identity. That is something that we are working on establishing even more on further records. About the concept, I'll let Ricardo take the reins here because he wrote most of it.
Well, conceptually the album is a story that I made with the rest of the band's help, of course, from scratch, and it's basically a parallel for the human condition, the dual aspect of the human condition, like the yin-yang, good and evil, and it's about how we react to the disappearance of what some would call the best part of us. That's better part of us is represented by Lenore, which is featured in Death post-mortem in the album's third song, which is Lenore. But the whole album is told from the perspective of the main character, which is the god of nothingness, which is the less better part within the confines of morality's subjective aspects.
And he is also represented in the artwork that we did. So when you see our cover, that guy that's in there, that's the god of nothingness.
Exactly. So we will start publicizing the album, and giving as many gigs as we can. Our main goal is to breach the international market, but we also would like to give as many gigs as possible in our country.
Yeah, I think that basically sums it up. We're really trying to make a piece of art that's universal, I should say, and that's in the truest sense of the word. So we are not content in merely having Portuguese people listen to our album or having Portuguese people come to our shows or playing shows in Portugal. While we love Portugal and while we do want to do a lot of stuff here, we also want to try not to limit ourselves to any particular thing. Because if we are trying not to limit ourselves to any particular musical genre, it wouldn't make sense if we would try to limit ourselves to any nation, any continent. We are going to play anywhere and everywhere you guys want us to play, and you guys are instrumental in this also. So if you want us to play anywhere, bug the shit out of your local promoters and tell all your friends about it so we can do it, so we can go find you and play shows for you.
And that takes us to our future plans, which is to continue recording, writing new music, which is obvious, goes without saying. But what doesn't go without saying is that we would like to experiment a bit more, to create a stronger sonic identity, to take in different influences that maybe take us a little farther away from the melodic death metal tag, which we got nothing against, absolutely nothing against, but we like to work a bit more on our identity. But let's see what comes out in the future. It's very complicated to write music with a certain aspects of your creative process being limited by doing or not doing something. So let's see what comes out of this.
Yeah, I'd say we have an idea of like a vague idea of where we want to go, but if we manage to somehow let things flow and somehow let things go the way they need to go, all the better.
Exactly.
Yeah. So about ourselves. Well, I think I'll start by giving you a little brief overview of who I am and what I do in the band and how I got here. So I started listening to heavy metal music, I'd say music about, I think I was like 10 years old, so it was like last week or so. I already did this joke before, I don't know why I did this again. It was, and I started listening to metal on MTV because of bands like System of a Down, like Nirvana, like even Gorillaz. Things that circa 2005, 2006 had a lot of rotation on MTV. Then I listened to a couple of albums that my father had at home, by Metallica, by Judas Priest, by Creator, and Manowar.
I remembered.
And starting from there, I started to develop my sound. I started listening to Moonspell, I started listening to Marduk, I started listening to Dream Theater, a lot of things, which led me into creating my first musical project, which is called A Constant Storm. And from there on, I entered Moonshade in January 2015. And yeah, I've been with the band ever since, and it's been great. What do you have to say?
So, I joined the band about 74 years ago. No, I'm kidding.
BC.
I'm one of the founding members, one of the two remaining founding members, which is me and Pedro, our other guitarist. Basically, I started listening to metal, I would say, when I was about 11 years old. I started again with MTV. This might sound weird for people who are a little bit younger, but we are from an era where MTV actually played different genres of music, so bear with us. I know
they
it's
actually played music, it's weird.
Yes, it's difficult to grasp around that particular concept, but it's actually true. I'm from an era where MTV actually played Slipknot and Metallica and all sorts of entry-level bands during the day, like in the daytime. And then we had Headbangers Ball, Marilyn Manson was a big thing back in the day. Even Cradle of Filth And we had a couple of Portuguese music channels who played not only foreign metal music but also Portuguese metal music. So I started basically there at 11 years old with Rammstein, with Nirvana, with Metallica, of course, I would say Megadeth. And then I started evolving into more, not underground bands, but lesser known bands like Inciferum, Opeth, Amon Amarth, and between that I had great punk phase. I listened to a lot of punk rock. That's actually my when I started my first musical steps. I started in hardcore punk bands and punk rock bands. And then about in my 20s I joined Moonshade. That would be like in 2010, yes, the year the band formed, 2010 to early 2011, and I've been with the band ever since. Meanwhile, I started as a guitarist, now I'm doing vocals. I've always been a vocalist in Moonshade. Before I was a guitarist, a punk guitarist, so I played like 4 chords, the same 4 chords I play to this day.
And so these brief introductions about ourselves make you realize that we are all very different people. And our bass player just joined the conversation.
Esqueci-me de mandar mensagem. Estamos na última pergunta, meu. Puta que pariu.
How are you?
Please join us.
Hi everyone!
So that's basically it. I hope you enjoy our new songs. I hope you enjoy the band. Check us out. We're on Facebook, Spotify, Bandcamp, all the major streaming and digital platforms. We have also our online store at Big Cartel. And well, check us out. Give us a chance. Hope you like it. Cheers.
Yep.
Bueno, esperamos que os haya gustado, que os haya gustado la banda. Y recordad, la semana que viene más, pero no peor. Eso es imposible.